They tried to ban the book. And I got good news, everybody. It was initially reported. Target bans book after complaints from random accounts on Twitter. The book Irreversible Damage by Abigail Schreier. It says the transgender craze seducing, let me see. I can't read it. Our daughters. Okay, there you go. That's Abigail Schreier. She's extremely controversial. And I think it's really dumb to say controversial. Just because people don't like someone, they instantly become controversial. And then I'm controversial and you're controversial. It's all kind of dumb. But Abigail appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience talking about something called, I believe it's rapid onset gender dysphoria. This idea that peer pressure and social pressures, trends, are causing young girls to become transgender. I am not asserting that as truth. I'm just telling you what this book is about. I believe that's what it's about. I could be wrong, but it's in line with that idea. Well, on Twitter, someone complained. So Twitter said, we're pulling the book. And then someone complained. And then Twitter said, we are bringing the book back. Score one for the good guys. Oh, I know. The left is probably freaking out saying, knowledge must be forbidden. We can't let the rabble learn things. They might agree with them. Heaven help us if common folk get access to information. Remember how things used to be? Well, you don't remember because we didn't live during those times for the most part. But we know from history that, yeah, the authority didn't like it when people learned stuff. Because when they learned stuff, they realized, hey, wait a minute, y'all can't do that. Ideas are like viruses. Or idea viruses, I guess, are called memes. It's like idea genes. Ideas can spread. You know, a lot of people don't realize this. Liberalism, classical liberalism, had to be thought up. There was a period where people thought there was authority from divine providence, that simply because the king said God wills it so, that they were in charge. And then people started to realize, and it went back and forth. I know that, we had democracy in ancient Rome and Greece and whatever. And then eventually we got divine monarchy, divine right. But eventually people were like, yo, I kind of think we're all granted these rights. And for all of their faults, the founding fathers, recognizing this, still, for political reasons, allowed slavery in many instances. Many of them actually owned slaves because I don't think they quite understood. I think it was a product of their society at the time. While there have been, many of the founding fathers who wrote against it, that's just the way things were. But I tell you this, for all their faults, they planted those seeds that brought us forth. Knowledge, it's the key. It will set you free. Well, here was the first story from Postmillennial. They say, Target has removed Abigail Schreier's timely and well-researched book, Irreversible Damage, from their selection after what appears to be a few complaints from transgender activists on Twitter. A Twitter account with roughly 1,300 followers that uses an Antifa slogan, ACAB, in their handle, tweeted to Target, I think the trans community deserves a response from Target as to why they're selling this book about the transgender epidemic sweeping the country. Trigger warning, transphobia. Target responded saying, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. We have removed this book from our assortment. She replied, Target.com just made my book disappear. Does it bother anyone that woke activists and spineless corporation now determine what Americans are allowed to read? Another account with around 2,600 followers tweeted, in 2016, Target, you released a statement affirming your support for transgender customers. Ask Target why you're selling a book notorious for its harmful rhetoric against us. Historically, harmful products have been pulled from the shelf, and this should be too. Encouraged by their success and the immediate reaction by Target, dozens of fellow activists celebrated in the tweet threads, while the ACAB account protected their tweets. Schreier's book, Irreversible Damage, has a nearly 5-star rating on Amazon, with 82% positive reviews, and is number 1 in LGBT demographic studies, as well as a bestseller in several other categories. I read this book and walked away feeling informed, frustrated, and deeply moved. Schreier interviewed people from all across the spectrum, from parents of trans teenagers, including a progressive lesbian couple, to transgender adults and influencers, to experts and medical professionals in the field. This is a remarkably honest and well-researched book that does nothing more than tell the story of young women who jumped into transition too quickly, encouraged by the movement. This book is necessary because it provides a different point of view on what has become a monolithic public narrative that challenges what LGBT activists demand as the only acceptable position to hold. It tells the story from the point of view of both transgender people and the families of transgender people. It is compelling, moving, and incredibly informative. Opposition to this point has relied exclusively on labeling it transphobic and dangerous, based on this intolerance to differing views regarding transgender issues. It's exactly the type of book that should be included in a diverse spectrum of arguments. Hence, the good news. You see, over on Twitter, the ACAB account says, I think the trans community deserves a response as to why they're selling this book. Target said, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. We have removed it. Followed by Animal IG saying, promote diversity of thought, Target. Do not submit to Stalinist thought policing. The marketplace of ideas will either lift up or destroy the book on its own. And Target responded. Yesterday, we removed a book from Target.com based on feedback we received. We want to offer a broad assortment for our guests and are adding this book back to Target.com. We apologize for any confusion. Amazing. Very amazing. And there it is. Target.com. Irreversible Damage by Abigail Schreier hardcover sold out. Man, I couldn't even buy a copy. What a bummer. Well, hopefully Abigail makes a good amount of money for the hard work she put into this and because of the woke insanity that caused damage initially. Congratulations to Target on doing the right thing. You know, I see a lot of posts about this, and I have to wonder what these lunatic authoritarians are thinking. First of all, the book exists. You can't stop knowledge. What are you going to do? Nothing. Even if you get the book banned, people can just download it. You're not making the information unattainable. You're actually Streisand affecting it. But that's their plan, I guess. They don't like the idea that some people can actually learn things. They don't like the idea that ideas can spread. You ever see Stargate? In Stargate, most of you are probably familiar, they find this Stargate. It's a portal that brings them to another planet where there are a bunch of humans. And it's like kind of Egyptian or whatever. You see, on their planet, unlike our planet in the movie, and this is, just hear me out. Stargate's cool. On Earth, the people that were doing the labor for these aliens learned. They learned to read. So on this other planet, written language was forbidden. And these people remained good, mindless little slaves. They got scared when people would draw things. No, you can't do it. It's forbidden. You'll get in trouble. It's obvious. The truth shall set you free, and we all know it. And thus they do everything in their power to make sure we don't get access to information. Now, it's true there's misinformation and disinformation, and it can cause very serious problems and have very serious real-world consequences. But the best way to deal with bad information is good information. The response should be, how about this, Target? Show a different book, similar items. How about that? Let people buy and learn what they want to learn. To be fair and to be honest, I do think that we should be concerned about misinformation and disinformation, but I don't think banning it is going to solve anything. The left lies all the time, and the media lies all the time. And that's the one thing that all of these leftists have in common. They're despotic authoritarians. And they'll say things like CNN, don't go watch Fox News. Don't learn what they have to say. Only come to me because they lie. Brian Stelter now saying there's no alternative reality because it's not reality. The Trump supporters believe all of this fraud, blah, blah, blah. The reality is learn as much as you can. I know some people who have learned too much, and a lot of it's bunk. I know people who think Michelle Obama is a man. And I tell you, man, that's just, you gone off the reservation on that one. You got to figure it out. You've got to navigate, and you've got to understand, you've got to find that middle ground. The challenge is, instead of the people on the left, the big tech companies, instead of actually helping people get good information, they just agree with the left and the moral outrage. And that's going to make everything worse. I certainly have video censored when I tell people, like, here's information. I fact check this. I bring this stuff up. And then I get demonetized or deranked. It happens. It does. And that means bad information prevails because the left is violent and authoritarian, and big tech companies either agree with them or are terrified of them. No surprise, huh? We saw what happened in D.C. just the other day, where all the Antifa and Black Lives Matter people went around bashing and beating people. And thus, you're going to end up with people who just bend the knee. And then real information that you need won't be there. You won't know the truth. You won't be allowed to share the truth eventually, and that's already starting to happen. Even now, CNN is targeting Parler, saying it's dangerous for our democracy. Why? Let people share information. Now, I understand echo chambers are bad, but that's Twitter's fault. It's better that these people can speak and share ideas, and you should be encouraging more people to join Parler. Instead, they mock, they belittle, and they say, don't go to these places. Don't read this information. Don't learn for yourself. No, my friends, please do. I'll leave it there. I got one more segment coming up in just a few minutes. Stick around, and I will see you all shortly.